Now in its 16th year, Campus Safety's Director of the Year program recognizes K-12 higher ed and hospital police chiefs, security directors, emergency managers, or heads of security and public safety who demonstrate outstanding leadership skills, ingenuity, and selflessness. We name the winner for each sector at one of our campus safety conferences. The nomination materials we receive are full of impressive accomplishments and collaborations. We briefly outline these achievements on our website, but wanted to further honor the nominees and their hard work by conducting interviews where they can elaborate on some of these successes. In these interviews, finalists share some of their challenges and subsequent solutions they've implemented. We hope campuses that may be considering similar endeavors find value and guidance in these discussions.
One of this year's finalists is Kenton Ferrin, Director of Campus Safety at Vanguard University. Kenton shared some safety and security challenges he has faced as a leader of an open campus and how he and his team have worked to address those challenges. He also discussed how his department retrofitted existing rooms to be able to convert into safe rooms during a security incident, as well as why and how his department has recruited several retired police officers to join their team. Take a listen.
So today I'm here with Kenton Ferrin, who is the Director of Campus Safety at Vanguard University in Southern California. And Kenton, one part of your Director of the Year nomination materials that stood out to me was steps taken to improve the safety of an open campus like Vanguard. And discussions of protecting open campuses have come up a lot lately, especially following the Michigan State tragedy. What are some safety and security challenges you have faced as the leader of an open campus, and what are some ways you've worked to try and address those challenges?
Well, some of the greatest challenges we have with an open campus for us is just people being allowed to walk on and we have no idea who they are. And so in many cases, people are coming onto our campus for the right reasons, but we were having some instances where we're located right next to a police department. So oftentimes inmates are released, and on several occasions, those inmates came into our student housing and were hanging out in our lobby areas. And we've had a number of other instances where being on an open campus and not being able to control ingress and egress of pedestrians and vehicles for the most part, that we were having some challenges with people also on a couple of occasions actually entering our dorms and setting up residence. And so we found out about it with facilities, began to check those places. So some of the things that we've done over time, in addition to those challenges, was really a process of just evaluating the risks. And so once we were able to point out what those risks were, it's not simply just having an open campus, because you can put high fences around everywhere, but it's still going to be a challenge to control people visiting the campus, like in other staff areas or other students, things like that. So part of our process was to take a kind of a multifaceted approach to it. One thing that the university did is they were able to raise the funding to put a gate at least on the majority of around our campus. So it's very decorative, so you could get over it. But one of the things that makes it obvious is we do have cameras in those areas. So my thought was, well, at least no one is here for the right reason is going to jump the fence. So if we see people jumping the fence, then that would bring it to our attention. And because of the video cameras we place all over campus, we'd be able to see where they're actually jumping. In addition to that, we've increased a number of things just to increase the overall safety of the campus. We've added lighting and parking lots, and so we used to have kind of that older, kind of orangey looking lighting that didn't really highlight the vehicles and pedestrians, especially at night. And so we increased the lighting in the parking lot, which was better for us from a video perspective. We also added access control. We had a limited amount of access control when I got here, and so we've expanded the access control to pretty much all the buildings that we oversee as a campus safety. And just those things in particular. I'll probably add some other stuff to another question. Just those things in particular gave us an opportunity to kind of control the access a little bit more. We added cameras to the entrances and exits, so we're kind of seeing who's coming and going. But there's still next level stuff that we're working on, in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years that we want to add to even make that more advantageous for us to know who's coming onto campus, at least in all the vehicles, and make it more challenging for someone who's got various reasons coming onto our campus to be able to come here and do what they want to do.
Yeah, when you mentioned the fencing, you were saying how like someone, if they really wanted to, could get over it. But I feel like most attackers, they want the path of least resistance, so they might think twice of trying to enter a campus like that if they even just see anything that could get in the way of what they want to do. So
yeah.
And now your submission also mentioned safe rooms, which was unique for all the entries that I read. And can you talk a little bit about what they're meant for, and also how you determined where these rooms made the most sense, and then a little bit on what went into creating these rooms?
Yeah, this was my assistant director and I both retired after doing 30 years of law enforcement. And I've been on SWAT teams and done training for active shooter from a different perspective, obviously from the response perspective. And so now that I'm on this side of it and I'm trying to figure out ways that we can get people into a safe location if we did have an active shooter or just someone on campus that was causing, harm to our students or staff members. The biggest problem for me was figuring out where they can go. There's this concept of run, hide, fight, but when you say hide, and we are a campus of many offices, many windows, right? Everyone's got an office window. Even my door has a clear, almost no wood in it, just all window, all glass. And so I'm like, well, that's not very safe. Are they going to hide and the person's going to see them hiding? And so we went through a process of hardening all of our spaces, from classrooms and then from office spaces. So classrooms we can harden to a certain degree, right? We have additional locks we've added. We have a canvas pull down that goes over the window, the slight little window that covers a classroom, so that the active shooter is not going to be able to see who's in there unless they break that window. In addition to that, we try to figure out what are we going to do if people are out and about, right? So they're walking around and they don't have somewhere to go. Where are they going to go? And where can we put people in these spaces? And so we just started going around campus and go, look, what we identified bathrooms. So now every bathroom has a locking mechanism on the inside with a deep bolt lock. And what we do is we put peepholes that only look out into every safe room. So we had to go to office spaces where there were shared office spaces where there was one room that had a solid door. And in that solid door, we put a peephole. And in all of those rooms, we put a bucket. And in that bucket contains a number of medical supplies. We give them an option to defend themselves if they have to in that bucket. But we put a number of things in those buckets in order to also save lives, because we've learned that in instances where we have active shooters or people are hurt, a lot of times just putting on tourniquets or putting pressure on bleeding wounds, you will save lives within that first hour. And so we went through every office space. We're still adding safe rooms. And we went from office space to office space to office space. We showed every office member where these rooms are. And we said, in the event of an active shooter, or if we do a shelter in place or whatever, here is a safe place for you to go. And you can get in there. If someone comes up to you and you know that they're one of your colleagues and they're not the harming person, or they're not someone that's involved in this that you don't want in there, you can clearly see that through the people. You can also see when the police get there, so that you're also able to say, okay, it's the police department, they're knocking, let's come outside the room. But my whole goal is, if we have an incident and we send out an alert that says shelter in place, lock yourself in safe rooms or whatever, my whole goal is to have as many staff members and as many students be able to go into a hardened space within seconds. And so the only thing I want to do is frustrate whoever's here to cause us harm, so that they don't have anyone to harm, so that everyone's locked in spaces. The response model is great, but if you look at this last incident in the Christian school in Tennessee, from the time that call came in till the time that person was shot by police was 14 minutes, right? That's a long time. And so even if you saw that incident where when she came through, shot the glass door out and entered, there was no time for them to send out an alert, right? They literally had seconds to get those kids out of there or to go into a safe space. So I've even like talked to educators where my girls go to school, and I said, hey, I've done this to a whole campus. let me, Mine goes where they go to school. Let's figure out a way in every classroom that if you had a door or a shared space or even two classrooms, you could get them in, even if you crammed them in like sardines, but yeah, you were able to lock them in a solid door and then reinforce those doors so that you can't just shoot through them. And then, I mean, you've taken care of your active shooter problem right there, because they're not going to, they have a place to go in that classroom. And so I think we have to work towards that next. The response model, we all have one. Police know what they're supposed to do. They know when they get there. Campus safeties that are armed, they know what they're supposed to do. They know how to send out messages. It's just, this is just another step in that, right? That I'm almost like, there's almost more weight in that than there is the response to it. Is to get everybody safely locked in a place and make it a fortified place so that nothing can happen and they're safely in there until the incident's over.
And I also feel like when people hear the term safe rooms, they think of a room specifically created, just for hiding. But for you guys, it's retrofitting existing rooms, so you don't have to create a completely separate space.
It cost us. It cost us very little. I mean, the bucket and the medical supplies and things we have in the bucket, and then a peephole, drill hole, put the peephole in, maybe $10 for that. I mean, maybe a couple $100 per safe room. Yeah. That's not a lot of places can do it for that cost.
Well, and then those items that are in that bucket can be used for any type of incident. If someone cuts their hand or on glass or anything like that. So it serves more than just a purpose for active shooter. It can be used in any incident. So, and now I also read that your department recruited a lot of retired police officers. What would you say are the advantages of hiring officers on your team? Retired officers on your team, and also, do you have any recruitment tips or advice for campuses that are considering doing the same?
Yeah, so you're going to have to get the kind of right person, right? So most of the people we got were retired, and so I've had a couple come and go. I got a couple retired sergeants from local police agencies. I've got guys that were detectives. I've got guys that worked 40 years. I mean, I think the highest is 43 years on the job and then retired. And then there's another one that, they're all around 33 years and retired. And it was really just giving them a part-time option. So for us, it was a part-time option. They weren't looking for full-time work for the most part. And it was about relationships. So people that we knew, that knew other people said, hey, I know so-and-so, and he's retired. He's just sitting on the couch at home. He may want to do something. And then getting that right kind of person that really cared about what we're doing here at Vanguard and cared about our kids and wasn't here trying to live a young police officer's career, right? These guys have retired. I got one guy that he loves getting in our golf cart and escorting students. We have an escort program here that if you call in, whether it's day or night, if you're injured or whatever, we will escort you to wherever you got to go. So they go pick him up in the cart. This guy does this. He does like 30 a day. He loves it. And that's like his passion. He's like, man, I love coming in here. I love these kids. I love mentoring them. I love, he drives me. He's got a big bucket of candy and he gives them this guy's worked homicide bureau for like 10 years. Like he's done everything. And this is what he loves right now in retirement. So it's offering, I think, them something, not just, I tell them we're getting more out of this than I think you guys are getting out of this. And they just love coming in here 1 or 2 days a week doing this. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, that's kind of how I got those people. Why retired police officers? Experience. I've got people that these guys have seen and done, everything in a lot of cases. I've got one that's like a 12th degree, he's in his 70s, but he's like a 12th degree black belt. He's got his own dojo and studio, and he teaches students self-defense. And so, you can't always be scientific in all of your decision making, right? So that's why experience really matters. And so having these kind of people working for me, I feel really comfortable at night when I go to sleep, knowing that I've got whoever's here, I've got someone with, maybe 30, 40 years of experience seeing the craziest of things and doing the craziest of things on the job. And he may have a roommate who's upset with another roommate and be able to de-escalate it and bring sensible, and then maybe mentor them through the process, right? But we've got all kinds of issues happen on campus that really are lower in, on the issue side of things, right? More conduct related. And to have someone that with that experience just be able to kind of talk them through it it brings a lot of value, I think, to our customer service side of what we do. And I think it brings value to the university. And I think the students, whether they appreciate it or not, I think in some cases they're just not knowing sometimes the experience that person has. They speak from the position of experience.
It sounds like your department and officers have good relationships with the student body. Can you tell me some unique ways that you've been able to make those connections happen?
Yeah. So, like I said, we do training with the students. So we do the one officer I have that's the black belt. He actually does self-defense training, right? So he gets with our student workers and then others in the university to train primarily female students, but we do get some male students that actually go to his dojo too, and builds that relationship. Our escort program is big, right? So anytime a student has an issue where they're either scared or they're physically hurt or what have you, either day or night, we ensure that we'll pick them up and we'll escort them to where they need to be. And that's a big relationship. I think confidence. So us creating a response model where if they call us, we'll be there. Like you don't leave a message for us. Every phone call will be answered, and we will follow up with you. In instances where we've had students be victims of crimes, even where it's off campus, we've been advocates for the family. So those opportunities where I have an opportunity to be an advocate for the parents, I tell them that when they come. Look, you may be a parent in a different state, and something may happen to your freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior adult child, at the university, and you have no one's talking to you. You can't get anywhere. Well, the benefit of us working in government for so long, we have a network that's pretty large, and so we also seen and done a lot of things in that world, and we're able to kind of help the parents navigate that. And we're able to help them make the right contacts and put things in perspective and really be an advocate for them as well as their adult child. And so that's really come in quite a few times. So that builds relationship, right? Because now you've got the trust of the parents and you've got the trust of the student that's been involved in something. And we've done it for things where you wouldn't even traditionally be involved in, where they applied for a job online and it was a scam and they're out some money, how can we help them get back on their feet? It's not that there's really, that's kind of like it's a civil matter. There's really not much that we can do, but we maintain contact with the family. We maintain contact with the student, like, hey, let's help you now. Make sure you don't have identity theft going forward and all these other things. And so we help them all the way through that process. I also oversee Title IX, so any Title IX issues that come up, I oversee that and have Title IX investigators that are doing a great job. Do a lot of kind of training with the students when it comes to what they have to know about, in certain cases, clarity, or when they have to know about Title IX, or they have to know about what campus safety does. We direct them to our communication systems, but we have an active shooter, or we just have something that needs to be done throughout the campus, and we need to advise all the students about it. We use Titan HST. So Titan is our system that we use. I don't know if you're familiar with Titan HST, but it's probably been a huge benefit for us because students are constantly hearing from us on Titan. So whether we have all the sewer lines are out in a certain building, we advise them. We've advised them. We have some people on campus that have dogs. So we've seen multiple coyotes on campus, like in the open hours, and we've notified them via our alert. We use that system for any training we use. Any active shooter training or lockdown drills, obviously they get those from us.